Hello, what's up everyone? Oh boy, where do I start? Here we go. Okay, so we took a month off last month and I couldn't handle it. I am glad to be back on stage. Once you get a taste of the comedy statistician lifestyle, you get hooked, you gotta get back to it. So anyway, I'm glad to be back here. Who am I? My name is Greg Matthews. You can call me Dr. Gregory Matthews. I have a PhD in statistics. And what I like to do is take the topic of the show and do something statistical or data sciencey with it, some little data analysis. And the topic of the show tonight is linguistics, so I'm going to do something with language, right? What is linguistics? Well, linguistics is the scientific study of language, so I've already said this, I've ruined the beginning. So I'm going to do something with language. What's the hottest thing in language right now? Shout it out. No. ChatGPT, large language models, and an example of that is ChatGPT. Duolingo's also adorable. So ChatGPT is like this hottest thing, and it's a large language model. What are large language models? They are artificial neural networks. They use a transformer architecture. They're trained on extremely large data sets, and they have up to hundreds of billions of parameters. And this is what everyone's so excited about with artificial intelligence. They think, oh my God, it's becoming sentient, it's conscious. Calm down. Large language models get all the hype these days, but what about small language models? Have you forgotten about these? What are small language models? These are also artificial neural networks that follow transformer architecture. They are trained on smaller data sets, and they have tens of millions of parameters. Right? By the way, what's the easiest way to tell the difference between a large and small language model? Does anyone know the answer? You look at the model's hands, actually. It's a long way to go for that joke. But what about extremely small language models, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight? Extremely small language models. These are based on simple Markov chains. They're trained on extremely small data sets, and they have hundreds of parameters, and they are bad at AI. But isn't that a little bit more fun for a science and comedy show? So we're going to do some bad AI generation tonight. So here's how we're going to do this. So here's my toy example. Here's what I'm going to do with a bunch of different text data sets. So imagine that you had, this is the text that we're going to use to train our extremely small AI model. Here we have, this is just Jack and Jill, the nursery rhyme. And what you do is, with a Markov chain, the idea is, wherever you are right now, I can tell you what the probability of transitioning to the next state is. Okay? And we're going to use this text to construct a Markov chain. So I start with a root word, right? I initialize my chain. Let's say I initialize with the word Jack. Okay? What that means is the next word can be any word that follows Jack. So I can use and, fell, or got, right? Those are the three words, and I randomly choose one of those words, and so I get Jack and then I look at and I see what are the next words. I have Jill, broke, Jill, home, and brown. And I can use those, and I randomly select one of those to be my next word, right? So this isn't just randomly generating, I'm randomly generating the next word based on where I am right now. I'm coming up with a coherent word that came next. But that's all I'm letting it do, okay? This is artificial intelligence, right? This is, at its very fundamental level, this is artificial intelligence. It's just based on an extremely small data set. So I can keep doing this, and I can keep going through this with each word, and I can get generative AI, Jack and broke his head with vinegar and Jill. That's generative text, right? This is exactly what ChatGPT is doing. They just do it well. I'm going to do it poorly for your entertainment. All right, so this is generative AI though. This is artificial intelligence. Okay, so let's look at some real examples. So here I'm going to give you some generative text, and let's think about, see if we can figure out what corpus, or what text might have generated it. Okay, the coffin and the one with the same white whale, so in one is no doubt was inlaying in the gay. That's an easy one. That's Moby Dick, right? That's Moby Dick, right? So what I did is I took the entire text of Moby Dick. I started with the word the, and then I generated the next word that came, and I got this text right here. Here's another example. The terms of citizens of the powers and certify, and between the United States, blah, 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 blah. That's the U.S. Constitution, right? So I used the U.S. Constitution to generate that, and here's the last one for these first examples. The need, for instance, youth gangs, cultists, anti-government rebels, radical environmentalists, already moving black man. This is a little bit more difficult. It's a lot more difficult, actually. If you get this, you're a true psychotic person. Does anyone know what this is?
I have a dream bomber.
They got it! Who said that? That's the Unabomber. Who said the Unabomber? Oh my God, that's one of my former students knew it was the Unabomber. Great work. Is that you, Ian? Good Lord, Ian. Great work. That is 100% from the Unabomber's manifesto. Oh, I finally have another one. The choice between a better than 100 million or in the middle, read my childhood education as a toothbrush. That's your boy, Joe Biden. My childhood education is a toothbrush. So that's all kind of trivial. That's kind of some nonsensical fun because we're having fun at a comedy show. But can these models do anything useful? So let's take a look at these. Can we recreate high art? So what I've done is I've created some text here with, I've rethought the Romeo and Juliet. Here's some dialogue from the play that I rewrote. More than spurring hard opinions, for and set forth the Constitution of Scotland, a horse Greylocks the music. To which Juliet responds, "Oh Juno, Antony, in that he to bloodshed wounding suppose fairness, and the whore upon, what cheer?" So these can be used for useful things. How about rewriting the Bible? My loins filled with gravel, stones he hath shed blood. That's from the book of Steve, I don't know. By the way, fun fact here. It's frozen. By the way, random bonus fact, the Bible uses the word loins 43 times. When you have the whole Bible text, and you're a guy, you look at these things, right? How many times is the word loins used in the Bible? There you go. All right. What about generating some recipes, right? This will be a useful thing to use AI for. Here's a recipe that I generated using the entire corpus of I think this is either recipes.com or what's the cooking channel? The cooking show, I don't know. There's like 20, the Cooking Network. It's all the recipes from the Cooking Network. There's like 20 million words in here. Here's a recipe I generated with the extremely small language model. The apples in Worcestershire sauce on medium-high heat and honey and allow to 45 minutes or until tender. Step 2, if you like heavy large muffins, and who doesn't, unwrap slice with additional 10 to cover with cooking spray, and finally, your liking to top of sugar and vegetables and half in drain. Make it at home, it's delicious. So all of those were trained on a single set of text, right? We trained that on the cooking channel's recipes. We trained the Bible on just the Bible. We trained Joe Biden. That was Joe Biden's tweets, by the way. But what happens if we take two of these sets of data, two of these sets of text, and we start combining them together? So I'm gonna take the text, I'm gonna put it together, and then I'm gonna do generative AI based on two sets of text. So let's start out with Moby Dick and Joe Biden. Right? What would this look like if we generated text from these two sets of data? Oh, it's suspenseful. Oh, sperm whale swam before his own, self-interest ahead, and Sag Harbor you queequeg. He commanded another reason the Violence Against Women Act. That's what you get if Moby Dick and Joe Biden's tweets were used to generate AI, right? This is, by the way, this is really what ChatGPT is doing, just with really, really large data sets. All right, what about Shakespeare and the Unabomber? I'm sorry, let me say that again. What about Shakespeare and that guy's boy, the Unabomber? All right, let go as fast 3 of leftist beliefs are so beat me open wide. Love is the stage, or you have seen the sad-eyed justice of a genetic engineering would applaud Andronicus's conceit. That's Juliet and the Unabomber manifesto. What if we used this generative AI to fill out a dating profile, like an OkCupid profile? So what I did is I got data from OkCupid, and there's 10 questions in the OkCupid profile, and I got text from each of these different questions, and I only use those texts from those questions to answer that question, okay? So I'm gonna focus on these 3 right here. What am I doing with my life? I spend a lot of time thinking about, and the most private thing I am willing to admit. And we're gonna let the generative AI fill out a dating profile for itself, okay? And this is what you get when an extremely small language model, a sentient, extremely long language model, fills out a dating profile. What am I doing with my life? I'm studying working at the Muppets and Family Sour Soup. It's a Kermit reference, it's Kermit. I spend a lot of time thinking about, its effect on the police, just the universal language you'd have evolved as Tina Fey. And the most private thing I'm willing to admit, I know about masturbation. They're aware of it. AI is aware of it. They just want to let you know they're willing to admit it, but it's a little private for them. That's a real thing that was generated, and I was losing it at 3 a.m. writing this. All right, so what would happen if we did the same thing, we used OkCupid, but we combined it with something else, because combinations are fun. So let's do OkCupid and the Unabomber Manifesto. So what would happen if they filled out a profile with the OkCupid text and the Unabomber Manifesto? What am I doing with my life? I'm trying to make a code of leftists fade out. I spend a lot of time thinking about, I think of industrial system in my baby. And the most private thing I am willing to admit, the fifth principle that I've gotten intense sexual behavior. The fifth principle. Ian, you want to tell us about the fifth principle in the Unabomber Manifesto?
You need to do more reading.
Yeah, okay, he doesn't know. He's a little bit shy. He doesn't want to admit that he knows exactly what the fifth principle is. So what about Dr. Seuss? So here we can generate some Dr. Seuss. He can do Not in Whoville, Did and Our Fish, 3 chicken croquettes made these trees. But these don't rhyme, right? And Dr. Seuss rhymes. So what we have to do is we have to use the extremely small AI model, and we have to work backwards. We're going to start with the last word. We're going to force it to rhyme. Okay? So what I did here is I rewrote green eggs and ham using the last word of green eggs and ham, and we get these poems right here. There that you meet up the house, puddle it gasp, you cares a mouse. That sprinkled blue hair to go there, shucks pickled and they treated them anywhere. In the flowers and knees and ham, but our clocks, sir, let that Sam I am. So that's some Dr. Seuss. That's fun, it rhymes, it's Dr. Seussy. But what if we combined Dr. Seuss with something else? Like Ian's favorite boy, the Unabomber Manifesto. So what I present to you now in my final extremely small AI model here is, what would a Dr. Seuss poem look like if it was generated by extremely small AI, but it was combined with the Unabomber Manifesto? Here we go. The system that started this house, modern leftism, we pointed out of the mouse. Non-literate, they ran to there. Susceptibility to eat them anywhere. Certain aspects of dictators that, if in ham, man differs from privileged strata of a surrogate activity that Sam I am. That's extremely small language model generating Dr. Seuss with the Unabomber Manifesto. What have we learned today? Everything AI generates is good and useful. You should trust it implicitly. Joe Biden's childhood education was a toothbrush, and manifestos make everything more fun. Thanks. Follow me on the Instagram and the show, and I'm on Blue Sky and Threads. All right, we're doing this game thing right?
Yeah. Bring it up the thread. All of them Blue Sky thread.
Blue Sky. Follow me on Blue Sky.
Hell yeah. So,
Just go to the next slide.
yeah, I was gonna ask you a quick question. This is just out of my own curiosity. So all these start with like randomly initializing a word, and it kind of follows from there.
Yeah, so I was using like the and I,
Right.
and for OkCupid, I would be like, what would be the first word you would naturally use here? Yeah.
How does like ChatGPT, if you ask it a question, start answering?
It's doing, the real answer is it's much more complicated than I can explain in 2 seconds, but it's using a much larger model with much more parameters, and there are several different models that go into it. There's a model that interprets the question, and then there's a model that once you interpret the question, it's going to generate a response. There's a whole bunch of different pieces. There's like sub-models in ChatGPT.
Gotcha. Okay, so the game was, I told Brett to generate some text, generate AI based on comedians and tests of their stand-up, and I'm not too sure. Do you guys know comedians? You guys want to try and guess some generative AI?
You guys ever heard of comedy before?
Yeah. Okay, hell yeah, hit it.
All right, here's the first one. Do you want me to read it? Or?
You can read it.
You can't imagine the WNBA dude, what to lie, she a bike lane now I am, and you didn't have one day I didn't give a baby.
Any guesses?
So this was generated from the text of a special from this comedian.
Amy Schumer.
Incorrect.
Chris Rock.
Incorrect.
Yeah, we tried Chris Rock, and there was too many slurs to put on.
He was like, maybe not the slurs tonight, Greg. I was like, okay, that's fair.
Cat Williams.
Nope.
He's in the news.
Anyone?
Kevin Hart.
Nope, that would be very different. That would be very different text if it was Dave Chappelle.
Jim Gaffigan.
Nope.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Bill Barr?
That is correct.
Yeah, but not Bill Barr, the disgrace.
I'm gonna give it to him.
Bill Burr, yeah.
Barr, the former Attorney General.
Yeah. That would be funny if that was Bill Barr.
Bill Barr's comedy special.
Yeah, it's just comeback tour, dude.
All right, ready?
Yeah, that's
Number 2, I would come. Are you reading it?
No, you can read it.
I would come, you can walk up on the detox ward to the doctor with the detox hospital gown and ghosts out before, so when the watch is a little disappointed.
John Mulaney.
That is correct. Jean Mulaney, the detox, a little bit easier.
Oh.
And the final one, my favorite comedian in the world. On CNN, that I was you might run out, I'll have been in show business, is that gives you my no because I'm an hour or else has an anti-Semite.
Kathy Griffin?
No.
Close.
Close?
Bill Mauer. Carlin.
Nope.
Larry David.
Jon Stewart.
Nope.
Sarah Silverman.
Nope. She's not really my favorite. I was joking.
Yeah, these are good guesses though.
Kanye West.
What did you say?
Someone back there said Roseanne Barr.
That is correct. That's from Roseanne's Fox Nation special.
I was asking, we were chatting on this before. I was like, I don't think people really know who Roseanne Barr is. Why don't you know, like?
Old people do.
Alright, I take it back.
Dia, what a disaster.
Hell yeah, that was the game. First, give it up for Dread for doing all this generation. Hell yeah. Yeah, how are you feeling? Are you guys ready for the next act of the show? Are we having fun tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, we have one more